You are watching Psychic Witch Talk, hosted by Christine Rossi and Diana Rachel, shot at the Mystic Dream in Walnut Creek, California. Hi, and welcome to Psychic Witch Talk. I'm Diana Rachel.
And I'm Christine Rossi.
We are both psychic
I almost
readers.
forgot my name. Sorry.
At least we think we're in California this week, or at least I do.
That's true. Yes, we are Walnut Creek, California, at the Mystic Dream.
There is a Walnut Creek, Minnesota, in my defense.
Okay. All right. I'll give you that.
Should we start over again?
No, I think we should just run with this.
Okay. I'm good with that. So we're both psychic readers in the Mystic Dream Psychic Guild. You can call the Mystic Dream or go on mysticdream.com and book either one of us. I am here from noon until 8 every Friday.
And on Mondays and Wednesdays from noon to 6, I am through the store. And on other days, you can look up my website, Heart to Heart, Christine Rossi, and it'll give you a phone number, and we can call and make an appointment for any other day.
Sounds good. So today we are talking, since we both happen to be witches, about complex spells.
Very much.
Yes, and a lot of my clients come to me to look for real solutions to some of their life problems after they've exhausted everything else. And after you've exhausted everything else, usually there's still magic.
There's always magic.
Yes, sometimes it helps if you bookend, but witchcraft is kind of a lifestyle, and some people just want to step in when they need it and not live the whole thing, which is what we're here for, is to guide you through those moments. And one of those things that can happen is sometimes you run into spells that are a little more complex than just lighting a candle and saying a prayer. And so when Christine and I were talking about the show beforehand and how we were going to do it, we realized that we had very different views on what a complex spell was.
Okay, so in my opinion, anything more than 3, because my memory goes, not very far. So if I'm telling somebody to do something and it's going to take more than 3 items or more than 3 things that they have to do, we start writing things down, and then I consider that a complex spell. So, and yours is different. I was interested.
Yeah, first of all, because a lot of what I do is routinely complex. There's always more than 3 steps. There was some psychological research done, and hopefully I can find it before this video goes to YouTube, that talked about when people perform rituals and spells, that the more complex it was, the more effective they felt it was. And since spells are emotionally driven, that is something we do agree on, is adding those more steps to build that emotional drive makes them more effective, which is one of the reasons that
you have to have the emotion. You have to have the emotion behind a spell. Otherwise, it just fizzles.
Yeah, very much so. Now, I know for some of you out there, and I'm saying this because I'm one of these people, is I do have diagnosed PTSD, which means the emotions are in there and they don't always come out when I want them to. There are ways of gently bringing them to the fore, but we can talk about that later in other advanced spellwork techniques. So for now, let's focus on this one. Now, the reason I was talking about how my view is different is that I measure complexity entirely by the emotional content of a spell.
Okay.
So, for example, usually it's something where there is some kind of heart block or some kind of mental block to a situation that is preventing you from moving forward. And to the degree that even a basic uncrossing or spiritual cleansing is not enough, because it's something that's worked pretty deep into your belief systems that eventually structures your personality and spirit.
Yeah. So that can be a past experience of yours, or that you are still clinging to, a belief system, a habit.
Yeah. Well, if you go over the basics of the most common types of spells that people use, it's usually love or money are the first 2.
Yes.
Or something money related like employment. And then sometimes protection. Protection can be a little more, I consider that one more emotionally complex too, for different reasons. But when you look at each one, for example, So you're doing a spell for love, but you fully believe that you're unattractive. That can be something that's a fairly deep set emotional block.
Because you don't feel that you're going to attract anybody.
Or you're going to attract someone that's equivalent to how you see yourself instead of equivalent to what would match and make you happy.
No, that's true. And then you have to clear that away before you can go do the love spell. Or do the love spell and see what you draw.
Yeah. Well, and this is where sometimes I would say, okay, step back and first let's do some self-love work. Or let's do some love uncrossing.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe we should do some beauty spells and get you working with the Egyptian goddess Hathor. Or something that helps you understand and reframe your ideas of beauty and reframe your ideas about what aesthetics actually mean when it comes to human attraction.
Yeah, or just general healing. We were talking a lot of she, but obviously a lot of men are terribly insecure as well.
Yeah.
And they may have been told that they're no good, they're never going to draw anybody, that kind of thing. And so on one hand, beauty, but it's the self-esteem period.
Yes.
That has really gotten beat up along the way, and they actually believe it because they've heard it so much.
Yes, and there's some probably bleepable things I would normally say here, but gentlemen, the things that you think it's about are never what you think it's about. It really does come down to the way you treat people and how much fun you are to be around. And that is true for women as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it's the same across all gender expressions.
Yeah.
So going from there, the example spell we're using for something that I think we agree can be complex and that it can take more than 3 steps.
Absolutely.
And it's emotionally complex is the cut and clear. Now, would you like to tell a little bit about what a cut and clear is?
What is a cut and clear? Well, in the name, yes, in the name itself, you're cutting and clearing from someone, something, and you don't want to have anything more to do with it. It could be a bad habit. Maybe you've got bad eating habits and you want to eat more healthy. It could be that you have a lover that you had a bad breakup, but you just kind of, maybe we can get back together. Maybe, no, I know it's not good, but maybe, is there a chance of, they come in for reading. Maybe there's a chance at reconciliation. And sure, if you want more of the same. And then when you put it that way, it's no, never mind. I don't want to have anything to do with this guy. I'm going to block his number. But I can't stop thinking about him.
Yeah, and
I'm really hurt, how he treated me.
Yeah, sometimes explaining the behavioral conditioning and the theories of Skinner can help people recognize how that happened and get them past it. But before we had Skinner, we had magic.
Yes, and magic's been around for a long time, and magic works. And starting with a cut and clear, there's belief systems that you can cut and clear. There's old behavior patterns that you can cut and clear. Maybe you're always going for the unavailable man, and it just seems to be repeating and repeating and repeating. Well, let's clear that out and start fresh, do a clean slate, and then do some self-work on how you see yourself and, treat yourself well, and then do a little bit of love magic and bring in the right guy who will treat you the way you should be treated.
Yes, I know, and this is something that I usually recommend because despite what people may know about my lifestyle, I'm weirdly conservative about jumping from partner to partner. And I do believe that periods of abstinence and celibacy to do healing work before going on to love magic tends to help you get to something better in the long run. And you're not going to have all of those 2 steps forward, 1 step back as you repeat new patterns or the old patterns with new people.
Yes.
The other thing is, one of the fun things about magic is that it employs lateral thinking. So we're talking about cut and clear, which is most commonly used for love relationships and ending those. But if you think about it creatively, it can be employed in different ways. Yeah, employed, that's not a word. Employed in different ways. So for example, one of the things is I'm going to be taking our spell products home today, and I'm taking Filthy Rich candle with me. Is I'm going to be cutting and clearing from some of my old karma and old money hangups and ideas about me having to be dependent on other people, and then filling that in with something that will build independence and hopefully bring in clients and, maybe some really good writing gigs over time.
That's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
So first you're going to clear out.
Yeah, it's going to clear out all the old stuff and the old hangups and the old guilts about, feeling like I owe people that have helped me.
Also, people who are healers, that's a huge thing for healers of, I have this problem accepting money for doing healing work. And it's just like, oh, well, we need to clear that up right away because you are valuable. How much do you pay a doctor? Mm-hmm. Right? How much, do you end up having to pay in medical bills and things like that? So a healer that is genuinely doing it out of, through love for another person should be able to love themselves enough to accept money for their services.
Yeah, and one of the false beliefs that clings about that is because we're doing something that's most popularly labeled the woo, that what we're doing isn't really real.
Oh, no, it's real.
Yes, the emotional impact is very real. And we tend to behave like our emotions are imaginary too, and they're not. So it doesn't matter whether or not there's a physical consequence. If it makes an emotional difference, that has real value.
Absolutely, absolutely. If you feel after you have done a cut and clear and you've done your magic and you're earning the money that you would like to be earning, what part of that does not work for you?
Go online to book an appointment with Christine, Diana, or other members of the Mystic Dream Psychic Guild at themysticdream.com.